Here we are. Spike, how you feeling?
From a puke standpoint, much better. I puked so much on Tuesday that when I went back to work on Wednesday, and I'm feeling it a little bit, my voice was affected. Like my voice was shot from all of the puke.
Wow. Gross.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I still don't know if it was food poisoning or a virus.
Puke in your throat, a dildo in your hip.
Yep. Boy, old age.
They don't tell you that stuff.
Yeah, they don't. Yep. Nobody, you know about the wrinkles, all that kind of stuff. Nobody tells you about the puke and the dildos.
No.
No. Yeah.
Shoveling snow with a new hip. That's a good step, yeah?
Yeah. You know, it's weird. I'm sort of at the point where strength is not an issue. Mobility is. So I got to start working on range of motion this week because you have to wait on that because you don't want to pop like where the incision is. They also cut through muscle and shit like that. You don't want to tear that stuff. So
doing a lot of band exercises.
A lot of band stuff. Yeah. A lot of foam roll stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. A lot of, I do have some IT band stuff on my knees still. I'm trying to think what other stuff. Still can't tie my shoes or put on socks, but we're getting there soon enough, hopefully.
But how good at that were you ever?
Oh, terrible. I don't even know how to do it. Wait, funny story before we get going. So I give the doctor gives me the all clear to start working on that stuff. And I'm at the physical therapist who, asked me what my goals are. I'm like, dude, my goal is to put socks on and tie my shoes. So we've been working toward this put socks on thing. So he goes, all right, at the end of our session, he goes, let's do how people normally put on their socks. You show me how far you can get. And he sits on do you put socks on a chair by moving your foot up to like your knee? Like sort of to the side?
I think I usually bend.
Oh, so I bend. So he was moving his leg up and I moved my leg up like to the middle of my calf. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing. And he said, he goes, that's as high as you can move your leg? And this is as high as I could ever have moved my leg. So
explain that again. So he's sitting on a chair doing what he's...
Yeah, imagine sitting on a chair.
Like I'm doing now.
Okay. And imagine bringing your sort of imagine you're putting your sock on your right knee.
Yeah.
That you move your right knee out and your right foot up toward your left knee. No, like out, not up, out.
Oh, like side?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Now, I think you could imagine seeing that like on a TV show or something. It's like one of those things that I would have never done. But
No.
Here we go. Here we are. Fucking stupid. This is the stuff you can't get anywhere else. No other sports podcast. If there was another Sixers podcast, they wouldn't do that here either. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and brought to you by Mortgage CS. Become a Mortgage CS Ricky VIP by going to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process, briggsauction.com. Body Bio, get 20% off any Body Bio order with code Mike's Tummy at bodybio.com. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of a Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Sign up at rightstowrickysanchez.com/newsletter. On the show today, Sixers January actually seems like maybe it sucks. The Sixers are 1-2 so far in Sixers January, including the worst loss of the year to the Knicks, and then sort of an ugly, unwatchable affair, sans Embiid and Melton to the Jazz. We're now a month away from the trade deadline, so StarHunter will heat up, and the rumors will get annoying and constant, and a potential bad body language thing I noticed during the Sixers-Knicks game that I would like to bring up and present to Mike. Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. I actually met a stateside bigwig I had never met at WFAN on Friday. I don't know if he wants to be named, but it was nice to meet another stateside bigwig. Stateside Urban Craft Vodka is the official alcohol of 2024. I'm going to talk about Surfside in a second. I will drink vodka without ice and without a mixer like a psycho. I do drink vodka on its own, just fucking straight. And I had a nice stateside Friday night, easing into the weekend. Now, if you want something a little tastier, of course, Surfside is the best canned alcoholic beverage on the planet. Why is it the best iced tea and vodka? First of all, no bubbles, because iced tea shouldn't have bubbles. Only 100 calories and just the right amount of sweetness. It is the best tasting one. Surfside, whether it's the peach tea and vodka, the regular iced tea and vodka, go to statesidevodka.com and order one of those variety packs so you can try all the different flavors. Fly the Process is only 2 months away. We're going to Los Angeles. You can come with us. We have 2 Fly the Process people coming from Australia to Los Angeles for Fly the Process. We've always had international travelers. We have 2 Australian groups so far. If you want to come to Los Angeles with us, go see Sixers, Clippers, party with us all weekend. Go to writestorickysanchez.com/fly. Fans of Philly has the entire thing covered for you. All you got to do is for it and go. And if you need a non-travel package or a custom package from a different place, send an email to joe@fansofphilly.com. Without it, Miss and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who bends over to put on his socks. That's one, Mike Levin.
Tough little stretch we're on right here, isn't it?
Not great.
Isn't it now?
Yeah, boy, did we earn this one. I specifically earned the Knicks one. A lot of shit talk at work, shit talk with Knicks fans, get fucking obliterated in, it was the worst game of the year, right?
Yeah. Why do you shit talk?
Because if you went to work every day with those people, you would shit talk. It's fun.
I wouldn't talk at all. I would say nothing. I wouldn't speak to them. I would avoid them at all costs. Well, the only person I should talk is myself and the Sixers.
Okay, let me paint a different sort of perspective. Of all of the New York sports fans, Knicks fans are most similar to Eagles fans of all of those different fandoms. So imagine not just imagine being an outsider that not only works with Eagles fans, cheers for an opposing team, but also works in a place where the Eagles are discussed constantly. So I work in a sports radio station, so they're always talking about the Knicks. So when they're being stupid about Julius Randle or something, or saying that they wouldn't trade 2 first-round picks and RJ Barrett for Embiid, it makes me want to argue with them. I go every day without arguing about sports at work.
Because it would make me want to just walk away all the time.
But I can't. I'm there. So the thing is, I've gone 2.5 years without, I don't really argue about sports at work at all. At a sports radio station. I just don't do it. These Knicks fans, they trigger me.
Interesting.
And it is the only thing in the entire building, working with Jets, Giants, Yankees, Mets, fans all over the place, is the only thing that triggers me. They are insane.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they got the best of me on Friday night. I will say that. So a terrible, terrible, terrible game. Embiid, hard to know. I don't want to give him the excuse. Hard to know whether the knee ankle thing after he twisted it in the first 5 minutes affected him.
First play.
There are a lot of previous to this year Joel Embiid vibes about that game. Just sort of forcing it, careless passing, no energy on defense. Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, it was awful in every way.
Yeah, and they were extremely shorthanded against the Jazz on a back-to-back. Still should have won that game probably if they played more serious basketball. But leaving Embiid in down 30 to get his 30 and 10
Yeah.
is incredibly embarrassing.
Oh, it's Loserville
For-
USA.
For everyone.
For Joel, most specifically.
For
I believe.
Joel, for
Yeah.
Nurse. This idea that like the consecutive games with 30 points and 10 rebounds streak is some like, well, you have to do that. It is a historic streak. It is cool when it is happening as they are winning. It is a byproduct of winning. And when you're up 1,000, yeah, let him push it at the end of the third quarter to get his benchmarks and then sit the rest of the game. Great, that's fine. But when you're losing by so much, and he's playing as bad as he is, and he missed several games before that for an ankle injury that he then re-injured on the first play of that game, to leave him in, knowing that there's a back-to-back tomorrow, which maybe he wasn't going to play in that anyway, was so embarrassing for him and Nurse. And like they took Maxey out first, and then Joel just stayed in there and like
they forced it to him every play.
He got blocked by like Hartenstein a couple times. He got blocked by, I think it was either Quentin Grimes or Josh Hart, because he's just going up soft because his ankle hurts, and because he's just like not in it because he knows he just has to sort of meet these arbitrary quotas to get in. Like it's so embarrassing. There's no one knew about who was ahead of a 30 and 10 streak before this started. It is not that important.
They're treating it like the fucking Joe DiMaggio hit streak.
It is not that important.
Or they
it couldn't matter any less, in fact.
It's not a real thing.
It's not a real thing. It is the Thaddeus Young like graphic of no one has ever averaged 14.5, 7.7, 2.1, 1.5, like all that stuff.
I have an idea. That night, they should have called the Sixers social account and said, hey, start talking about consecutive games with 28 and 10.
Yeah,
and that's
whatever.
what he
It
has.
doesn't.
Yeah.
It truly doesn't matter. What an embarrassment. I mean, like, look, it's one game and we're not going to remember it by the end of the season. But like in this moment, it was pathetic. It made him look pathetic. He was playing poorly. He had 6 turnovers in that game. He was just missing like crazy, doing dumb shit. Like, what point are you proving? Honestly, it would have been a great moment in that time to go, this team doesn't have it tonight. They're making terrible mistakes. Joel is a minus 29 for the game. We are not going to play him in the fourth quarter because he doesn't deserve to play because the team is doing too badly. We're not going to like leave him in for 36 minutes, losing a game by 36 points.
Yep.
Like that's embarrassing. The game should end. Hey, it shouldn't be like, oh wow, we won a game. It was a tight one, and Joel only got like 29 and 9, and it was we won by 2, and we didn't get it that time. No, it should happen. He should miss the record or whatever the fuck it is in a game where he just wasn't good enough. They weren't good enough, and we're ending it on our terms. Like they did bad. They played badly. They don't deserve it. Like start a new streak tomorrow. I found it to be like really, really pathetic, and then to also lose that game yesterday was just as bad. It's just
also I think
the vibes
by the
turned
way,
quick in 2024.
I think you could make the argument that it was for a different reason, but he never comes back in the game in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes left, which is when he came back in. So in my head, I'm like, oh, they know this game's going to get out of hand. They want to get him back in before it gets out of hand, and it gets ridiculous for him to get his 30 and 10. So they're going to bring him, not only leave him in too long, but bring him back too early in a game where he probably wouldn't even play the fourth in the first place. It was so stupid, and I think you are correct in the two people it is most embarrassing for is Embiid and Nurse. Nurse, who feels like he has to do it. Embiid for everybody feeling like he has to do it because he wants it that badly.
Yeah.
And then for his teammates who I think on the games when they're crushing the other team, they probably think it's fun to get into 30
absolutely.
and 10. Yeah.
Of course.
It shouldn't be it shouldn't be an anchor around their necks, you know, like, ooh, we got to get Joel to his 30 and 10 or he won't. So I agree with you.
It made me so upset to watch them care about this thing that just doesn't matter at all. I mean, like, yeah, you said it last time. I forget what game it was, but when Joel got hurt and I was like, why is he staying in the game? It's like, well, he's not going to play. Once he's already warmed up an ankle and it's gonna swell up and stuff, he's gonna play that night and then miss the next couple. And so this was probably already going to happen because of injury management or whatever. And once he tweaked it again, it was like a foregone conclusion. But don't push it. Don't push it.
Yeah.
For this. If it was a game that was close, I was upset.
Even if he was in perfect health, this is the only other thing I'll point to, is that I'm sure you saw the other night, Jordan Clarkson got a triple-double. And they left him in a laugher so he could get another rebound because it was the first triple-double in like 20 years or something.
Yeah,
for the Jazz.
totally fine when you're winning. Great.
But the other thing that to note is that the coach even spoke about it afterwards, and he was like, I was worried about Jordan Clarkson getting hurt. I don't want to have to do this, but I get it. Like, it's a big deal, yada, yada, yada. Now we're talking about, that's for Jordan Clarkson, for a team who has no chance to compete for anything. Now we're talking about
the
Joel
84th best player in the league. Go get a triple-double, that's cool.
And even then with that person, they're like, I don't know, it's a little risky. With Embiid, it should be, and I'm not about putting him in bubble wrap. I was the guy who said leave him in the other game. You know, it's not about bubble wrap. It's just like, also, this 30-10 streak is not a real streak.
It's nothing.
It's not a real streak. It's not a real streak.
Most games in a row where he dribbles with his left and points to the crowd. He beat out Reggie Miller. Congrats. You did it. You're now the career leader in that arbitrary thing.
In that made-up thing.
You already won MVP. Like, what are we doing? This doesn't matter.
He loves stats. I said it on a different pod. He definitely loves stats. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Mortgage CS, your only place that you can go for a mortgage. It was made legal yesterday. Just kidding. I know there's a lot of legal things I can say about Mortgage CS, so that you can't. That's actually not true. They are your best opportunity because they are going to be honest with you, over-communicative. They are independent. They are responsive. They are good people. They are going to help you navigate. The last few years of getting a mortgage have been some of the craziest ever. And it's going to get crazier over the next year as potentially mortgage rates go down. You're going to want to know when, where, who. Mortgage CS. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. There you'll see a beautiful microsite created just for the Ricky listener, which is beautiful. I love that. Tell you more about the company, more about what they do, more about how they do it. And there you can schedule a consultation, or you can call or text their CEO, Ben. This is literally the CEO's cell phone number, 267-391-7425. 267-391-7425. The independent part is really important because a lot of the big mortgage brokers, now a mortgage broker doesn't give you the money. They're not a lender, they're a broker. So they go to the lenders and they find you where you should get the mortgage from. A lot of them have sort of deals with lenders where they get a certain kickback if you go to them. So you can't really know if they have your best interests at heart. Whereas Mortgage CS is independent and they are only dedicated to making sure you are happiest. Also, another thing that they do is they teach you about the process so you can make a more informed decision than you normally would. Every Ricky listener who has reached out to us about going with Mortgage CS has been super, super, super happy. You will feel comfortable with Mortgage CS. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. Call or text Ben at 267-391-7425. Look at all the great reviews on Google. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com/Ricky for more information.
I'm so glad it's you doing the ads again. Every time. Every time the pod after I do it myself, I'm like, oh God, thank God. I sit here and I listen to a thing. It's great.
So you mentioned there's a little inside baseball on it. When I was sick, I sent you the ads that we should do, and you were like, hey, are you sure we should do those? Because we did those sort of recently. And I'm like, I like to give you the ads that you will feel most comfortable doing.
It's fair. You didn't say that, but that is fair.
Yeah. So
totally fair.
Yeah. So I don't like.
I got some stuff to say about the Jazz game if you want to.
Well, the only thing about one thing I noticed in both games. So first of all, Tobias Harris had 5 points in 24 minutes against the Knicks.
Is that good?
It's not good. Didn't play against the Jazz. Here's one thing. I saw your tweet the other night after the Knicks game about them needing another offensive player, which of course we agree about, so on and so forth. But and maybe we'll get into this more when we get into StarHunter. But it's not to shit on Tobias. I'm done with like the outwardly shitting on Tobias. It's just like sort of reality. is that think about the conundrum that they are in that here is a player making $40 million, as much as any other player, which is like a quarter of the cap, right? Player making $40 million who you would argue that their primary skill is offense. That is what they are there to do, is offense. And realizing that your primary need on the Sixers is another player who can create offense. And you are presented with, here is the problem Daryl Morey is in. Here is the conundrum he is in. We're finally, after his 27-year contract, finally comes to a conclusion. At the end of this year, he just leaves, and you do not have to give up any picks to do it. You don't have to give up any players. He is gone. You are clear if you just let this season end.
Mm-hmm.
But here you are with this. And from an asset perspective, you're better off than you were a year ago, but you're also not in the position than a lot of the people who may be competing for a top line player are in. You don't have any really young players who are of any significant value, and you only have 3 first-round picks. So you get into this place where you're like, fuck. If I have to overspend here, like it just creates this, I think, extra thing. I know you don't want to let this season go without really going for it, but this extra thing where like it's really hard to build a team when this is a need, when you're paying somebody $40 million for that need. And it's really hard to justify filling that need this year when you are so asset depleted, knowing that he will be off the books after this year. It's just a challenging thing to think about, I think.
Yeah, I think it's challenging in some other ways, in that like usually, the Harden situation, when the Clippers traded for Harden, they just assembled the expiring contracts that would make the money work.
Yeah.
And it could have been for them. The Sixers weren't like, we want Covington or we want Batum. They have now helped out significantly, but it was really just about making the money match. When the Sixers trade Tobias, it will be about making the money match with whoever they get in return, whether it's Levine or whoever. But they will also, Tobias is not the expiring contract of like Timofey Mozgov. He's not like, he is a starter on this team. He is relevant to this team. When he is good, in the times that he is good Tobias, he is very helpful to this team. So when he is acting like good Tobias, you feel like, man, you can't just treat him like he's a $40 million nothing, because they will miss him in some regard if he's not there. When he is bad Tobias, you don't feel that way. You say, get him away for literally anything at all. And so that is the predicament they're in. I agree with you in the sense that like he is who he is. We know he's going to have games where he's like, man, what an efficient like 18-8 that was. Or what a nice, like he's getting downhill, he's defending fine, straight up, all that stuff. But then when he just disappears or gets thinky and loses his man and falls asleep and all that stuff, and isn't and his lack of athleticism on like 50-50 balls, all that stuff, you just want him gone.
The only thing I'll disagree with, and I do agree, look, he is a starter and I don't know. I actually don't think they will miss him at all. I think you could take him off the team.
I don't disagree with that.
They would not miss him.
If you gave Covington his minutes, I think the Sixers would be, if everybody else is healthy and you gave Covington Tobias' minutes, I think it wouldn't change anything probably. Yeah. But I do also think Dow probably doesn't care about this, but I do think he matters in the locker room. I do think that matters in some regard.
Mm.
I don't think you can think about it like, does he matter $40 million in that regard? No, he's already making the money. The money's gone. We're not deciding to pay him more money for his locker room role. But yeah, this Jazz game was an example. Everybody was hurt. There no Embiid, no Tobias, no Melton, no Covington. That's probably not going to happen in the playoffs. CJ cut this for when it does. Win. Yeah, they're not going to win. Yeah. But you did feel like, man, it would have been nice to have another guy. Tobias didn't play in the Jazz game, but another guy to scale up his offense a little bit, who isn't Kelly Oubre. Because as much as I love Kelly, who has been excellent this year, when he starts taking shots off the dribble and forcing it,
That's a losing team.
It's a losing team. Yeah. Absolutely. He is so perfect. The reason why like one more offensive, whether it's a creator or just like an engine of an offense, like, and I would even include like the worst version of that is like if Seth Curry came here and it was like, okay, Embiid, Seth, dribble handoff stuff is another engine of an offense that they can use to manufacture points in like an efficient way. If there was somebody better than that, Bogdan, whatever, then that would even, especially if they played together, Maxey, that person, Embiid, and then Kelly and like Kelly and Batum, that is really nice. Like Kelly can get even more easy looks. He's really great off the catch. He's been excellent off the catch. Off of cuts, he's their best cutter. Offensive glass, he gets a ton of offensive rebounds. The occasional like attacking a closeout, slicing between the defense, whatever. He's really been the perfect player when they're not so shorthanded that he feels like he has to do too much. And last night, he took some bad shots, and it was like, what else are they going to do? But I really have loved the Oubre experience, and it's not his fault when it's like nobody else can do anything, so I may as well try. And so I don't blame him for last night. And I especially really like the way he moves his feet on defense. He draws a bunch of on-ball charges because he just slides his feet really nicely. And so I've absolutely loved it. But it'd be so nice for him if he can just stay in the role that he had. So with like, in the playoffs, they're going to take away something. Some good team is going to take away something, Maxey, Embiid, something. And to have something else that's not Tobias go ISO or Kelly Oubre go ISO would be really, really beneficial to the Sixers' playoff chances.
I am going to sound this isn't a huge alarm, and I know I'll be accused of being a hater. I'm not being a hater, and that I have admitted that I was wrong. But I'm going to sound a bit of an Oubre alarm. There were a few instances during the Knicks game that I did not like the interaction between Oubre and teammates. There were 2 rebounds that Oubre stole from Embiid. You do not take rebounds away from Embiid. One of them, they fumbled out of bounds, and Embiid was so irritated he wouldn't even look at Oubre afterwards. There was another time when they were heading up court after Oubre had stolen a rebound, where Embiid asked for the ball heading up court, and Oubre looked him off and took it himself. There were at least 2 times on defense when Oubre fucked up and teammates gave him the sort of what the fuck are you doing, bro? Look. Yeah. And all of this comes with Oubre has not been quite as effective post, at least from a rate stat point of view, post bike accident or car accident or whatever afterwards. But it seems like and I'm all for talking shit, but every shot he makes, he is blowing kisses to the opposing bench and strong manning. And bro, you are the 8th best player on the team. You do not look off Joel Embiid when he asks for the ball.
I would rank him higher than that, but
okay. Whatever. You do not take rebounds from Embiid. You do not look him off when he asks you for the ball. And you certainly can't have other players on the team asking what the fuck you're doing on defense. That's like Paul Reed, Mo Bamba shit. It can't be you. And all of that comes with the caveat that the complaint from other places is that other players did not like playing with him. And I just want to casually sound the alarm that here is a player who is on a 1-year deal, who will be concerned with his numbers for production next year. Now, we could say his best path forward is be a good member of the team, but I don't think that's always how players think. I think they think about their numbers. I'm just a little worried about it. That is my body language.
I'm turning the alarm off. The alarm is sounded and then immediately turned off. I think that he is. It's easy to go for people, especially Joel, who is, we love him, but a bit of a baby. When the game isn't going well and he's not playing well, to then start being demonstrative about other players. And fucking Joel is not a good enough, not a consistent enough, efforty, high motor rebounder to where I'm telling Kelly Oubre, who is the biggest vertical on the team, to and the length to like don't go after a rebound.
He should concede uncontested
No,
rebounds
Joel
to
should.
Embiid.
Joel should go get somebody else. Don't worry about your 30 and 10. Whoever gets the ball gets the ball.
I know you're an Oubre guy.
He was to it first. I mean, I wasn't like in previous years, but I've just been, I think he has 98% of the time this season when everybody's there really known his role.
Okay.
And yeah, he'll fall asleep on defense occasionally, happen a couple times, but his offense has still been good. And even in these bad games, last night was 24 points on 18 shots, no turnovers. The night before, 15 points on 6 of 12. Like, that's fine. He's totally fine. And, he's been a really, really excellent catch and shoot 3-point shooter, and when that happens, that is super helpful. And he does make plays. Like he does like steal them possessions by whether drawing charges or just like hustling to a 50-50 ball or getting an offensive rebound or whatever. I'm not if Joel is starting to go like I don't want to play with Oubre anymore. Like I got a long list of other players that he should be upset at first.
I'm just saying it's been a history of his. I'm just saying we should keep an eye on it. That's all. You may have turned the alarm off, but you know how there's like the storm warning and the storm watch, and
Sure.
like I have the Oubre watch on. I got my eyes on you, Oubre. I'm watching the body language.
I get it because he is like a character, and I could see how him being like showy in that specific way could make guys a little bit annoyed. But like not only my alarms, but also my like fucking lamp at the watchtower is just on to Marcus Morris every time he plays defense. He's so bad. They got like the reason why the defense is bad lately, and it's part of this. Embiid wasn't there, and some of it was like the Knicks were making shots.
Melton wasn't there.
Absolutely. And Covington has been either out of the rotation or injured or sick or whatever. But like he got turned around. Marcus Morris got turned around so badly on just such a nothing play, led to a John Collins layup behind him. Like. He can't protect the rim. He can't slide his feet. If you needed him on like Julius Randle post-ups every game, then it's like, okay, yeah, I guess he could do that. He could stand him up in the post. But or like if Tyrone Hill was still in the league, like sure, Marcus Morris, go cover Tyrone Hill. Great. But like the offense isn't diverse enough to where the lack of versatility on defense is worth it for me. And the issue and the solution for the fucking defensive issues is to stop playing him. Is to stop playing him in small ball lineups, stop playing him with Embiid, whatever. When the shots are going in at like a 58% rate for threes, great. And he hit a couple towards the end of the game last night. Once was pretty much out of reach, and it was good to see that for him. But like he's been really bad shooting lately. Like any isolation, like he's going to jab step and record scratch the offense so he can go get his from like 16 feet. It's awful. He's got to be out of the rotation. He's not going to play in the playoffs. If he does play in the playoffs, he will like immediately get burned by somebody. Like, I would say the same thing about...
He's almost certainly going to get traded.
I don't know. I mean, Nurse seems to love him, and the players love him.
I think this is proof you're A, not a real hooper, B, not a Philly guy. I think your stance on Marcus
Fine,
Morris.
both. He just fucking cannot defend. Look, he is a standstill 3-point shooter at this point. And if you're going to be a standstill 3-point shooter that is not athletic, I at least need you to defend. And he doesn't. He doesn't know where to stand. He's so slow. His legs move so slowly for a wing player. It's rough. And they keep trying to go to small ball lineups when like either B-ball doesn't work or Mo Bamba, who was bad last night. Like they haven't found a small ball lineup that works, and they frequently have Marcus Morris in it, and like that can't be it. It's got to be like Oubre, Batum, Covington, Melton, and Pat Bev, or Melton and Maxey. Like something. It's just you can't have slow, unathletic, low anticipation, defensive-less players out there. Like that's, I know you're trying shit, and it's good to try shit. It's January, whatever. But like, man, I have not trusted a small ball unit yet at all. And they just defensively give up. They give up too many advantages easily. Defend the guy in front of you. Fucking keep the guy in front of you. Stop letting guys blow by you. Stop soft doubling to where you force the low man to have to come over from the corner. And then like the defense can't be, okay, we're going to give Lauri Markkanen as many open threes as he wants. That's our plan against the Jazz. Is it going to work? I don't think it's going to work. It didn't work.
Well, they were missing.
Of course.
Yeah.
But like the Jazz shot 8 of 30 from 3. They should have beat them by a lot more in last night's game. I'm very, and they also shot crazy high at the rim. Some of that is B-ball Paul. B-ball Paul seemingly has gotten worse as a rim protector, which is bummer. A lot of people fell asleep in transition. Easy looks. Like, it's frustrating. And the answer to that is, to me, stop playing guys who don't play defense and then go get a player who's a better offensive engine outside of Maxey and Embiid.
I've actually a question for you about the rotation. Right after we talk about it, it is an important time at Briggs Auction, briggsauction.com. In that, the second ever at Briggs Auction, I'm calling it the rights to Ricky Sanchez, even though it's not on the name, sports memorabilia, sneakers, and collectibles auction going on right now at briggsauction.com. briggsauction.com or the app, which is in the App Store or Google Play, BRIGGS, Briggs Auction, a 4-generation family-owned and operated auction house in Delco. I got my eyes on 3 pair of sneakers.
I'm on Bobby Abreu watch.
Yeah, so there's an autographed Bobby Abreu ball where doesn't he write how many times is an all-star on the ball?
And Gold Glove.
And Gold Glove. And there is a Bobby Abreu card somewhere in there, I believe. There are trading cards in here, and I believe there's a Bobby Abreu trading card as well. There are plenty of sneakers. I was able to win 3 in the last sports collectible auction. I got my eye on 2 here. I'm wondering if CJ is thinking about the same sneakers I am. CJ, any items from the sports collectibles auction or the sneaker part that have your eye so far?
Yeah, I'm looking now, and it is a sports collectible auction, but there are plenty of other shoes as well. Like I'm seeing hiking boots that normally go for like 150 plus, and they're definitely not up there yet. So
there you go.
I'm watching.
There's also some like entertainment collectible stuff. I think there's a couple autographed Sopranos things in there. Never seen the Sopranos, so I wouldn't really be interested. But this ends Friday, January 12th. I am telling you, go to Briggs Auction or go to briggsauction.com or download the app from the App Store or Google Play. This is Ricky time, the sports memorabilia and sneakers auction, unless it's some of the stuff that I'm bidding on. Otherwise, it's not Ricky time. Then don't bid on it. Or outbid Mike for the autographed Bobby Abreu ball.
Do not do that.
Briggs Auction, briggsauction.com. If you have a collection of stuff you think might be auction worthy, send an email to info@briggsauction.com. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the Ricky. So here is my it's more of a comment that I'm looking for your comment on the rotation. So remember we had said previously that the team seems deep except when Embiid's not there, then all of a sudden it seems like they don't have any good players.
Yes.
This seems like the truth when they're missing literally any rotation player who isn't Harris, actually. When they were missing Melton on Friday night, they felt incredibly thin to me. It almost seems like if they're missing Melton, if they're missing Batum, even if they're missing Reed at that point, it does seem like they almost have just enough players or something. I can't figure out what it is, but the only player I don't ever really feel like I miss is but think about how much they would miss Beverly if he wasn't there. Like when Beverly's hurt, like there's nobody really capable of even doing that. It's a very strange roster in that way.
Yeah, look, they played like shit against the Knicks, but I don't think that is like prescriptive of like what it was always going to be like if it's just Melton gone. I think that the team is going to be fine if 1 or 2 members of the rotation are out, except for Maxey and Embiid. If Maxey and Embiid are there, they're going to be fine. They're just going to be fine. I think I would play more Covington. Obviously, I've said that 75 times in this podcast.
He's definitely dealing with a knee thing. He's been out a couple of times with it, and I would think some of this is just sort of like management for him. I think some. I don't know how much, but it's certainly some.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely need help. I mean, Beverly, I think, has been pretty great. He was very good last night. Few too many shots. That's what happens when nobody else is there. I really love his drive. Such a weird like bevy of finishes when he surprises the defense by attacking the rim. He just can't be a guy that you trust to be a lead guard with Maxey sitting. I would just love for him to be a role player, positionless guy out there with somebody else running offense, and then he can surprise you with the occasional like drive or nice pass or a little floater, that kind of thing. Like those are little like weird, 6-1 hook shot, that kind of thing. Like I'm happy with that. They just need another person to take that off him, because he's going to leave you wanting more if he is operating in such a level, especially when playoff time comes. Maxey is at a place where he didn't, aside from that one really, really bad game on, was that Christmas?
Yeah.
On Christmas.
That was Christmas, I think. Yeah.
When he couldn't hit anything. Like, for the most part, it's not one wall that he's hit where he looks like, there's 2 weeks where Maxey plays like shit. That's not going to happen. He's too good to let that happen. But the responsibility of how much, especially without Joel, how much offense is running through him is taking its toll. And like, we see him missing threes he normally makes, whether they're step backs or just like open looks. There was a shot in the Knicks game that would have cut it to, 8 or something. And he was wide open, had all the time in the world, missed it. Like, it's just when his legs are under him and he's right, it feels like he makes that. And he's missing weird free throws that he would not make. Like, you just see him seeming tired. And it makes sense. Like, the Jazz went box and one on him last night. In Nick Nurse's face, his finishing move right to him. And it's gonna take its toll. And Brunson called for a switch against the Knicks against him a lot. He bodied him a few times on defense. And I think Maxey takes that personally. I do think he had a better night defensively against Utah. Like, held strong, sturdy wise, like made a bunch of steals, like anticipation. But he's also occasionally forcing it through taller defenders on drives, trying to take those sort of like falling down floaters that he can't just get over them because they're too long. Because even once he gets a quarter of a step past somebody, he's by them. But occasionally he just needs to, he feels the need to go right at them, and then thinks that he can still absorb the contact and go up strong. But I would like a little bit more of a move. I would like a little bit more of a mid-range threat. He had 3 turnovers last night. That's just like a sloppiness and like a tiredness that seemed, is rare for him. There was one play that I saw from Maxey that I actually really loved and would love to see more of. And it was when, I think he must have had, maybe it was Clarkson or Chris Dunn or something on him. He gets the ball in like sort of a seal position, not like half post up, from like 18. And he turns, it's a very Embiid style face up play from 18 feet out. Had a little like Embiid style hesitation, jab step, and then blow by, and it's one dribble to the rim. And I would love to see a little more of that. Like, it's not a post up I'm looking for, but if Maxey can face up from 15, 18 feet sometimes, when there's shooters around him, when there's like maybe a lob threat inside, it's one dribble that he has to make. He's too fast for the defense to collapse onto him from there. And to be able to get one dribble to the rim before anybody else can react is really great. And I think it would help Maxey see the mid-range as a bit more part of his repertoire, so that everyone's not just playing the straight line drive.
Well, part of it, by the way, you mentioned moves, is that part of it is that his drives to the rim are not like move based. They are jet by the guy based. And it's hard to stop in that way that a lot of lead guards will sort of get a move past the guy, or maybe it's on a pick and roll, and put the guy on your hip and navigate to the mid range. He doesn't do a lot of navigating in that way. And I actually think that hurts him a little bit in the 3-point shooting. And you mentioned he's shooting, I think it's 27% in January. And that's only 3 games, but it's obviously far below where he's been. And he's down to 37% overall. I feel like it's been a little bit of a trend. Part of it too is his threes either come from spot up or step back. And there's not a lot of a pick and roll, sort of the guy going under and finding the space behind the guy and shooting it, which I think is a lower effort shot than the step back is. I think the step back from an effort standpoint, especially because so much must come from his arms because he's smaller. I think that takes a little more effort. So I agree with you on the mid-range thing, but I think the mid-range thing is combined with how he navigates offense from the perimeter,
Yeah. And I think that if he's such an excellent catch and shoot 3-point shooter that if there was another guy there to draw some attention of the defense, it's just like you saw that Knicks game, like they had nobody else, dude. It was Maxey, Embiid, and Oubre. Tobias goes down to 5 points. Batum had none. Marcus Morris had none. Daniel House had 2. Bebo Paul had 6. Bamba had 2. Beverly had 2. Springer had 3. KJ Martin had 0. It's just like, you can't play basketball like that. You have to incorporate other guys into it, whether that's like pin down screens, getting guys off cuts. It's just so much Maxey running around Embiid like crazy and then getting opportunities from there. And Tibbs is a good defensive coach. They have good defensive personnel on that team. Anunoby stayed with him pretty good. And it's not like he can score, but it's just the toll that it takes on him and the lack of a threat of the rest of the players on the team when defenses start treating them like they're all PJ Tucker is really problematic, and it's going to happen in the playoffs. Good defense will take away the stuff the Sixers want to do, and I would like to see more offense from the guys that are there, more sets run to get open looks inside. Obviously, when Tobias is playing better, that they get offense through him, through a little mid range and stuff, and post ups and all that deal. But obviously, personnel wise, getting a third option would be better. But I think also just not calling the same set where it's just like a flip with Maxey and Embiid over and over again. Everybody else is standing there. It's just it gets really predictable, and that's what we wanted to avoid this year.
So before we get away from Utah, one thing that I know you'll poo-poo, but I wanted to play it anyway. 833-LickFace is the voicemail number.
Yo, Johnny, for the love of God, could someone please explain to me why Embiid doesn't need to sit on the bench with the rest of his teammates while he's quote-unquote injured or on the back end of a back-to-back? Toby's sitting there, cheetah print cardigan, patchwork trousers and all. Embiid didn't travel with the team on a 5-game road trip while other injured players were there. Where is he? Sitting in the bowels of the Wells Fargo Center, sipping a pina colada, hanging out with Arthur? He should be on the bench with his teammates. Anywho, have a good one, guys. Peace.
I agree.
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
Okay, cool. I do.
I don't know. Yeah, he's, there is superstar treatment that everybody has. It would just be nice if he chose to be there. And usually he is when he's not playing at home. And I don't mind him staying back in Philly to get treatment and stuff. But yeah, as far as I'm taking my shit seriously and taking a bigger leadership role in this team, part of that is being there. And also, I like Tobias' cardigan. I think he looked great.
Yeah, I don't think that was insulting. He was just sort of saying that the cardigan was there. I think that was all that was. So they play again on, let's do the schedule part of the Sixers right now. They play again on Wednesday. No, they play Monday. Okay, Sixers, Rockets. What? Oh, no. I'm looking wrong. I'm sorry. That's next Monday. They play Wednesday against the Hawks. We'll have a pod after that. Then against the Kings on Friday night. And then Rockets, Nuggets. So Hawks, Kings, I don't know. Go 2-0. The Kings game's at home. We don't know if Embiid's going to play on Wednesday. He had knee swelling after. That's why he didn't hit why he didn't play in the Jazz game. But you got to win both those games. And the point differential, which I'm very obsessed with, is taking a major hit right now. We're single digits now. I think we're below 9. Not great. Really bad 2 games in a row. Really bad. Really bad. Deeply unpleasant. So we will get to StarHunter right after we talk to Body Bob. Very big StarHunter. I think we'd all agree. The rumors are cooking right now. Lot of rumors. You know what else is cooking? Your tummy. That's right, Mike. Body Bio, bodybio.com. I actually had another sponsor. I'm sure he won't mind that I reached out. Clement from Stateside was like, is a skier. He said, give me that Body Bio promo code. He's like, I got to try Elite. He's like, I'm getting foot cramps when I'm skiing. I'm sorry, this was a personal text, and I'm now It's not embarrassing, though. Getting cramps in your foot is not embarrassing. He's like, I got to try the E-Lite. So I gave him the promo code. We'll get the review. E-Lite is your 100% hydration solution from Body Bio. Drinking water, important? Yes, of course. Everybody wants to drink 64 ounces of water or whatever. You walk around with your water jug or whatever, congratulations. You walk around with your water bottle, aluminum, congratulations. But you need more than water. You need electrolytes. And the way that you don't want to get your electrolytes is with artificial flavors, artificial colors, sugar, any of that bullshit. That's why Body Bio makes E-Lite, which is pure electrolytes. You take a little bit, put it in your drink in the morning, a little bit, like capful. That's all you're using. A little bit, put it in your drink in the morning, a little bit, put it in your drink in the evening. Helps balance your body with the pure electrolytes, and that cramping that Clement had, the cramps that I had, and just your overall health will improve if you're hydrated correctly. Go to bodybio.com, use code Mike's Tummy. That is bodybio.com, promo code Mike's Tummy. You get 20% off anything at bodybio.com, not just your first order, any order. Again, bodybio.com, promo code Mike's Tummy. It's time for Star Hunter. A change in the Star Hunter universe as the rumors are flying left, right. Our very own Jake Fisher reports that everyone on the Hawks is available. I didn't finish the sentence, except for Trae Young and who's the other guy that they said wasn't available? Is there a Williams?
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson, right. On the Hawks, which would, in our orbit, mean interest potentially in Bog or DeJounte Murray. The Raptors actively trying to trade Pascal Siakam. It feels like we're in the sort of late stages of that.
Yeah, there was a report that like the front office just hasn't spoken to him in a while.
Yeah,
and he
didn't all summer, I think.
Yeah, which is strange choice. Even if I was a front office that didn't want to sign somebody, I'd probably just be like, "Hey, how you doing? You're looking good. How's work? How's the summer going? Staying hydrated? Not even
hi. How you doing?
Anything. Any of that. But so I'm not a GM.
I believe this is per Jake Fisher as well. I'll get better about this moving forward. I just was sloppy in my prep sheet. Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes available from the Kings. The Warriors have had some issues recently, though they have said they will not be interested in dealing Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, unhappy with their roles and playing time. Mm-hmm. And this also, another Jake Fisher report, Ricky's own, a Kyle Kuzma. Now, nothing specific, but the 4-year, $90 million deal they signed with Kyle Kuzma in free agency is considered quite valuable among rival personnel and could bring back some legitimate first-round capital for the rebuilding Wizards. The same goes for starting point guard Tyus Jones, who's in the final season of a 2-year, $29 million contract. So there's a lot there, of course.
We haven't talked about Kuzma that much. The deal is very good as far as what he provides for that price.
And we got a bunch of Kuzma emails. We actually got one from a different CJ, shout out different CJ, who said Tobias Harris and a first for Kyle Kuzma and DeLon Wright.
Look, is Kuzma better than Tobias?
I don't even know.
He's not a better three-point shooter than Tobias.
He seems like a more willing three-point shooter. Yes.
But
which makes him better. Same percentage, more willing is better.
Not same percentage. Lower percentage.
What's his percentage?
He's a career 34% shooter from three.
So like
last
Covington
3 years,
three-point shooter.
34, 33. This year's 35.7. The volume is good. The volume is fine.
Okay.
But he's not very good at it. You could argue that, sort of Oubre-esque, if you have him being more of a catch and shoot guy, not off the dribble.
I don't want Kuzma. Can we just skip over that? I don't want fucking Kuzma. You don't want Kuzma.
I don't know. The contract makes it enticing, and he's big and athletic, but like not a good defender, not a good shooter. I like Oubre at that in that similar role of like scattered defender, shot selection is bad kind of thing, because you got him at the minimum. But if you're spending valuable assets to trade for this player and hoping that they just improve at these two things that you're not sure about, even though the price is good, to trade like first round picks for it, he would be low on my list of guys I'd be interested in.
And Tyus Jones, you've mentioned before.
Yeah, Tyus Jones I love. DeLon I love. Having a guy in there. The reason I like DeLon over Tyus Jones, and Tyus is probably a better point guard, but DeLon maybe a better shooter. It turned himself into a pretty decent shooter. That was a knock on him coming out of Utah. Way better defender. Way more physical, big, switchable, all that stuff. And so I hesitate to trade for someone, as I think Daryl maybe said on this podcast, like acquiring somebody who will not be in the rotation. Who will not, like, you're trading valuable stuff, whether it's a couple second round picks or whatever, trading valuable stuff for somebody to go like, okay, they're our ninth man and like occasionally outplayed or out guarded by Pat Bev and stuff. So I would really like, if we had signed Tyus Jones in free agency for like 2 years, $8 million, I'd be like, great, awesome, on board. But when you just don't have that many assets to futz with. You got to be right. You can't have George Hill situation happening again. So I would prefer DeLon in that area.
So let's go to the voicemail line, 833 Lickface.
Hey, Spike, Mike, CJ, Daryl. Noah here, calling from just outside D.C. With a StarHunter question for you. Article came out today. I'm calling on Friday the 5th. Article came out today that Kuminga is unhappy with Steve Kerr in Golden State. Says that he is not going to let him reach his potential, likely because he's overplaying sort of busted Klay Thompson at this point, and he's not getting the minutes he needs. I think that makes Golden State a prime trade partner for the Sixers. Kuminga, while not a great three-point shooter, is roughly average, maybe a little sub for his career, but he's a great defender. Opponents have a minus 2% field goal percentage when he's defending them and a minus 6% shooting percentage from three when he's defending them. And we also need a backup point guard. And if we can pool all of our assets, we could potentially send them, Toby, Springer, Furkan, and all the picks for a 21-year-old Jonathan Kuminga and Chris Paul to run our bench as the point guard off the bench. So I think it is great. I don't know. What do you guys think? Non-basketball question. What's the best bagel flavor? Bye.
So since this voicemail, Chris Paul has a broken bone in his finger. I do think he will be back. I was asking around earlier today. He'll be back this season. And it does seem like they would be willing to trade him. I'm not like a huge Kuminga guy, honestly.
I'm probably middle of the road Kuminga guy. Love Moses Moody. Think he's an NBA player. Think he's going to be an NBA player for a long time. Kuminga, look, I do this also, but people are going like, he's an average 3-point shooter. He's shooting 27.7% from three this year on very low volume, career 33.6, low
That's
volume, wide open. That's not average.
No.
That's not average.
It's Thibault.
Yeah.
33% on wide open shots is that's what Thibault.
Yeah, and I trust. Yeah. I think Kuminga will be is certainly a better offensive option than Matisse is, and I'm interested in him theoretically. Like I think he is a good defender. I think he's great in the open floor, great as a lob threat and stuff. But I think if they're going to trade him, they will trade him to a team that allows him to go do a lot more stuff. Yeah, not to a similar position here where they're going to be frustrated with his lack of discipline as a young guy that's trying to figure it out.
What's Toronto? I mean, it does make sense. Toronto would make some sense, if Maybe. They are building with a young core of Barnes and Quickly and you just got to end up with the same Toronto team with the guys with different names, I guess. But on some level, that I think that probably makes sense. If the Warriors really are trying to get Steph another championship, anyone in a Kuminga trade is going to be a win now player. You know?
Absolutely. And I think, and not to say, I don't know if Siakam is the guy that would unlock Warriors stability. I certainly don't think Tobias is. Be interesting. I played around with Chris Paul before the injury. Also, I think he would be really compelling on this team, as now knowing his he's a guy who knows what he's supposed to do. Obviously, as one of the best point guards ever, and at this stage in his career, doesn't try to do too much. And some of the stuff that him and Steph have done together would be reminiscent of the stuff that him and Maxey could do together. with some pick and roll, with some separate stuff. You could play them together in spurts, a little small, obviously, but be interesting. But I think Daryl is not, I don't think he would have done the Al Horford contract. And I don't think that he would be in the business of giving, of allotting a backup point guard $30 million to, for the most part, not be in the closing lineup.
Yeah, but he is expiring, right?
Of course, but I think that they would. I think that on some level, I think expiring is bad. And if you're going to trade,
he could be in a closing lineup, by the way. I think Chris Paul.
Oh, of course, I think for the most part he wouldn't be though. It's maybe 50-50 of the 50% of the time he would be. I think there'd probably be more Maxey, Melton, Batum. He'd rather have Maxey, Melton, Batum, somebody, Embiid.
Sure.
And yeah, I think when you're looking at star hunting stuff, I do think because of the Sixers having a pretty clean cap sheet next year and wanting to sign some of their guys for longer, whether that is Melton or Batum or Oubre or whoever, I think that they will want, if they trade for somebody, they would rather trade for somebody that is on a contract with some years on it that is good. Like not Zach LaVine contract is, it won't look so expensive as the cap keeps going up, but it is still very expensive
right
now and next year. Whereas Bogdanovich, even DeJounte, some of those other guys, you can sort of, Caruso.
He's talking about Cam Johnson at one point. I wouldn't mind having Cam Johnson on a $23 million a year contract.
No, I wouldn't mind it, but and I think you could. He's an example of, I've been saying like an offensive engine. Like Cam is at least can fly around screens and do some of the, some of the Duncan Robinson stuff that Miami gets offense out of, with probably although Duncan's gotten better at this, better like rim attack, rim pressure kind of thing. That'd be interesting, but. Yeah, I would want somebody who's either, Cam's going to cost a lot of assets, and it's like how much can you depend on him as like your third best option on offense? It's tricky. They're in a tough spot. It's like the Sixers are good, but they're not good enough where they can do nothing, and they're not so far away that they feel like they have to take a big swing, even though that's probably the right area. And I think that will be Daryl and Elton's priority. Will be taking a big swing that can raise their ceiling, even if the risk of that going badly is relatively high.
And last one for this week, or for this pod. This comes from Bobby, writes StrikySanchez@gmail.com. Hi, Spike, Mike, and CJ. Kevin Huerter has fallen out of favor in Sacramento. He was replaced in the starting lineup by Chris Duarte and barely gets any minutes off the bench. Any interest in him in a trade? He makes about $16 million this year in the next 2 years. Non-basketball question. Who makes the Hall of Fame first? Chase Utley or Bobby Abreu? Thanks, Bobby. So, Kevin Huerter.
Bobby sent that question in?
Bobby sent that
question.
It was not Bobby Abreu. Yeah.
Thank you. Asking if he's going to make the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I probably don't think he's going to make the Hall of Fame. I think it's going to be Chase. And I like all bagels. So the previous non-basketball question.
So
I like them all.
My bagel of choice would either be plain or everything. If you made me pick one for the rest of my life, I would pick plain.
Plain's a little plain for me. Give me a sesame, pumpernickel, everything. The occasional blueberry once in a while.
Oh, what are we doing here?
Once in a while. It's a treat. It's a little treat. Yeah, once in a while.
Jesus Christ. What are we doing?
Once in a while. Okay. Herter's having a bad season shooting from three, but he's a good shooter. We know Herter's a good shooter.
He's a good player. He's a
good player, and he is a smart basketball player. He can move without the ball. He can make the right pass. I don't buy him as a defender really. So wouldn't be my first choice. Like the last two games that the Sixers have been really, I think, crystallized. Everyone going like, man, if somebody's out, if one of Maxey or Embiid or Tobias is bad, like they just seem like they're missing one thing on offense. But it's also like their defense isn't good right now either. So I don't think you can go all offense, and I don't think you can go all defense. So I do think you have to get somebody that find the middle ground of somebody who is at least capable. You probably prioritize offense a little bit more, but you can't trade for a zero defensively. And so that's where we're in the problem. I've said no to a lot of guys, but I think give me a Bogdan and a Delon, and we're talking.
Let's end with a little bit of email voicemail action. This comes from John, writes rickysanchez@gmail.com. This is not StarHunter. Howdy fellas, no need to read this on the pod. I know I'm a couple weeks behind on this. I just had dinner with the friend who emailed me, as in me saying no way CJ is 6 feet. So I just wanted to clear the air. I felt like a jerk when that email was being read on the pod, even though I knew I didn't send it. CJ was great and wasn't calling out anyone on their height. So it was a different person who had emailed in about CJ not being 6 feet. Anyway, basketball question. Which of these current
CJ does not react in the green room right now.
Which of the current Sixers is most likely to play in China at some point in their career? Doesn't mean they're the worst, but one who loves ball so much they won't be able to hang it up once their NBA career is over. I have two choices for which Sixer is most likely to end up in China. Your thoughts, Mike?
I guess there's a couple ways to read this. People who love ball, so like Pat Bev could be an interesting one there. I could see Dan House liking the experience. I could see KJ Martin not getting maybe another NBA contract in a couple years after people run out the God, his jumper looks bad. It's really bad. Yeah. I love how willing he is to dunk, but KJ, the jumper looks
like another KJ we had at one point, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I think his form is actually worse than that KJ. But I do like how willing he is to dunk, and he is pretty savvy in transition and light on his feet. And I could see Oubre also being like, let's try it out when he's like 38 or something.
I have Oubre and Marcus Morris. Those are my two. And non-basketball question. Oh, actually, this is the same as the previous one. Out of the Phillies on the Hall of Fame ballot, who do you think is most deserving, and who do you most want to get in? So the question was Abreu or Chase Utley. Chase Utley is way ahead on this fight. I don't think Abreu will ever get in the Hall of Fame, nor should he.
Yeah, probably not.
But who do you
don't sneak that one in me.
Well, I mean,
I saw it.
He should be in the Hall of Fame. Anybody who watched him.
There's so many players that are just like in the Hall of Fame because of famous teams that they played on.
The Hall of what?
But like they were on a popular team,
right?
You know, like there's several Yankees and Red Sox and whatever that are in there that are just like, you were around while this cool stuff was happening.
Well, you know what happened with Bobby Abreu? Every time he left a team, cool stuff happened.
No, not even close.
Yes, it did.
Not even close.
It did. So Chase Utley is much more likely to get in the Hall of Fame than Jimmy Rollins. I'm curious.
I think so too.
At least current vote, he's way ahead, and I think Chase Utley deserves it more than Jimmy Rollins.
I think probably.
Yeah. I actually think, and he's a player who won't ever get in, I don't think he's not on the ballot this year, but I think Ryan Howard should get in over Jimmy Rollins too. I think when you think about that era of baseball, with Hall of Fame, I'm all fucking eye test. Like, who are the guys? And Ryan Howard he hit like almost 60 home runs. Like, he was for 5 years.
One year. Well, the numbers go down. His second year was excellent, and then they go down pretty steeply. He stopped. They really learned how to pitch.
He did hit 400 home runs, right? I do think he hit 400 home runs.
I think. I haven't looked at
or did he
too
not?
long. I'm checking it.
Okay.
382.
Then he shouldn't get in the Hall of Fame.
Eye test. All eye test over here. 18 home runs. That's the difference.
Well, eye test. There are some standards you got to have with baseball. So
yeah, he obviously tailed off very, very quickly. But that 5-year stretch from like 2006 2011.
It's pretty awesome.
One of the best power hitters in baseball. I could see it close. I love Jimmy. I think Jimmy's the man. His defense was excellent. One of the best defensive shortstops of his era, if not all time. And him and Chase like making magic together up the middle. But yeah, Jimmy even though he won MVP that 1 year, which is pretty crazy, feels like the consistent excellence was not quite there as a hitter, whereas Chase it probably was.
Yeah. 833 Lickface.
I'm listening to Mike complain about the help defense again, and I'm thinking, this happens so often. It's basically every podcast. Can we get a song for it? I mean, we have one for him coaching basketball, and that happens way less often than complaining about overhelping. So somebody out there, can you record a little song for that, a little jingle for Mike talking about help defense?
Mike,
I don't think this is wrong, and I've started to apologize for it as I'm saying it, because I do feel like I bring it up a lot, but it is incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. And it's not like, look, on some level, I do feel like, hey, when they help and it works, it's good. And when they help and it doesn't, it's bad. So it's a little rudimentary to say that. And I do think that there is some
it's like the play calls in football. It's like
some results based on that.
Yeah.
But I watch the way they think about helping, and there's so many guys on this team for years that have, and I think it's around the league. I don't think it's just a Sixers issue, but for years, just watching the ball and starting to dance in that direction. And I want them to have a little bit more awareness of, it is not a bad thing if whoever, Julius Randle, takes a fadeaway 18-footer. You don't need to send help there, because I would rather take Julius. I just don't understand how on offense.
I need the song.
Yeah, the song should be there. Someone come up with it. But it's just, I don't understand how the mindset on offense of like, we want threes and layups, and our best players can take like open mid-range jumpers. Embiid, obviously an excellent one. Will Hardy talked about how good he's like, our whole defense is about forcing them to take mid-range jumpers, but Embiid shoots like 55% on mid-range jumpers. So that's obviously not what we should be doing. And I wish that it transitioned from the offensive end to the defensive end, when it's like, we want them taking those shots. We know that we don't want to. We want them taking those shots. That's fine. Why are you begging them to make one simple pass? And it's like, especially guys that don't, Tobias, Marcus Morris, to a lesser extent, the smaller guys like Pat Bev, who is a good defender still, but like is just slow to get back and he's not long enough to impact the shot. It's just like, why not? Discipline important. Discipline good. Even though the ball's over there, you can look at it. You can like take a peek, but don't like let your body head over there. So that I would just feel so fucking stupid if you overhelp for no reason and you're not actually helping. You're just sort of in the area, and then the ball gets swung to your guy, and then he hits a three. You should have to pull your own pants down and run back up court. You run up to offense with your pants around your ankles. Boxers on, fine, but like, you should not be able to keep your pants on at regular height after that happens. You should feel so embarrassed. You should have to fucking waddle back up the court.
We shouldn't see your penis, though.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Just some level of shame should be felt, and the crowd should know, like, oh, he messed up. That's why he pulled his pants down.
Wow. Now, this I think must have been in reference to something. I do have a sort of a take on it. I'm just curious where it came from. I think it was in reference to the pod that you did with Ricky O'Donnell, 833 Lickface.
Hey, this is Jake from North Carolina, long-time listener, first-time caller. Didn't realize that Lickface is 8 digits instead of the traditional 7 for a phone number. My take is this: in the most recent episode, Mike has a great take on Tobias's inconsistency generally, but what I don't love is platforming chiropractic. I think it's generally quackery, which is kind of where Mike lands with his take. But see a PT, don't see a chiro, throwing darts, discuss.
So what is this take?
Oh, I just said like Tobias is the kind of like when every once in a while Tobias gets like readjusted. He gets like a massage or he goes to chiropractor or something and he gets adjusted. And for those couple days, he's like walking straight. He has good posture. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And then like over time, he starts to slouch and he starts to go back to his old habits and he has to like go back and do that.
Yeah.
That wasn't a comment about. I have no opinion. I don't care.
I agree on chiropractors. They're not even doctors. No doctors. The point of any doctor should not be to get you to come back to the doctor every week so you can feel good. That's what drug dealers do. So not doctors. So I having been to chiropractors and having lower back problems my whole life, go to a good physical therapist, even if you have to pay out of network to teach you how to live your life, strengthen your core. It shouldn't be somebody standing on your back making it click every fucking week. That's not real. All right, last one. 833 Lickface.
Hey guys, Spike Mike, President Harrell, Norman. Basketball question is, if Covington doesn't get moved by the deadline, do you think there's a chance a trade would open up a spot in the rotation for him? Just curious. And then non-basketball question, I work in Wilmington, Delaware, and, I have a parking spot that is in a less than desirable location, but, times are tough, and so a cheap spot is a cheap spot. It's right next to a bodega and a trap house, and there's guys shooting dice and all that sort of thing, which I'm fine with. It's no big deal. However, there is a contingency of homeless people that love to pee in the parking spot directly next to my car. I guess my car sort of acts as a shield to protect them from wandering eyes while they're relieving themselves. My question is, how can I get them to stop? Am I just screwed? Can I leave a little sign on my window asking them politely, please don't pee on my car? That only attract them to be, even more salacious. I don't know. I don't need anyone taking a crap on my car. The pee is bad enough. So just curious what you think. It kind of sucks to walk up to my car at the end of the day and see a big puddle of piss that my tires are sitting in. Anyway, love the pod. TTP.
I think you're out of luck, man. Honestly,
I would try to get a parking spot.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. Do you have a sign on your car that says "P next to my car"? Maybe it's the one in the window. Maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that a sign would help, and I don't think that lecturing them would help. They don't want to be peeing outside either. If things were better.
Yeah,
I'm sure they would prefer to pee inside.
They would much rather pee inside. They don't want to pee next to your car.
Yeah, so I'd try to find a different parking spot if it bothers you.
Yeah, or just go in the other side of the car. That way you're not looking at the pee. It's just hop over or whatever.
Sure.
Tom in the chat wants to know if he drives a yellow car.
Yeah, yellow
that's an option.
might be, yeah.
Get a yellow car.
That could be it.
And final thing, Mike, before we go, I just want to tell you, Jaden Springer stinks on ice. That guy cannot play offense. He stinks.
Disagree. Just disagree. He's got to get. I think odds are he's not going. It's not going to work here.
Zero things on offense.
Disagree.
He's not good at one thing.
I just disagree.
What are you good at on offense?
He's good at cutting, attacking the basket.
I knew I was going to say
straight
cutting.
Line.
Cutting's not a real thing.
Offensive rebounding.
No.
All that matters.
Right.
The shot. I'm glad that he's taking those shots.
Yeah.
They weren't going in.
Wide
Some
open.
of them rimmed out.
Yeah.
He's got to be taking them. But odds are he should
cooks
be
too much. He thinks he's.
He hasn't been though. He's been disciplined. It was someone has told him you're not allowed to do other stuff.
He tried to cook in the New York game in the.
Well, they were
game.
Down 75. That's fine. I don't care about that.
I don't.
I think odds are it's not going to work here for him, and he hasn't gotten good enough as a shooter here. But I still believe in his package of. I think his defense is so good that it will work somewhere. And I was talking to Ricky about Jalen Suggs being a comp for him of just straight line stuff. He's improved as a shooter. He's still really young. He's still just very young, and I'd rather give him minutes over Marcus Morris anytime.
I would rather a young player who's good at literally one basketball.
Yeah, but they don't fucking draft enough of them. So I have to.
Point.
There's the one I have.
Yeah.
Turquavion Smith was around last night. Didn't get any minutes. Would have liked to see that.
Fair point.
Ever since you called for him to stop taking a Mo-Bomb or B-Ball Paul has been money from the mid-range.
I know he makes
draining them.
It's funny. You look at his stat line from the Jazz game, and you're like, "Oh, B-Ball Paul had a good game." Yet every single shot he took, I was like, "B-Ball no, B-Ball no, B-Ball no, B-Ball." Yeah. Everyone.
Yeah,
everyone.
it's tricky.
Yeah,
it's tricky. I do think that there's a real chance that they trade him he's available to be traded. I think either now or very soon. It's just I think they want him. He's calling his own number a lot, and it's fun to watch. And when Embiid's not there, that happens. It's not like people are running to get the ball from him. So he's kind of looking around who to pass to. Nobody's moving. He's like, "All right, here we go. Time to dribble drive." And Allah called it improvising on the broadcast.
And
I was like, "Is there a script that he is following regularly that he is improvising off of?"
Actually, we got this call about that. Then we'll go. You'll like this.
Hey, Spike, Mike, CJ, Daryl, B-Ball, and Dan. So, Paul, this team loves you. The city loves you. Spike and Mike are just the OG supporters of you. But I think it's best for your career if you go back home to Chicago, because we got to bring Drummond in. We're winning right now. It's just something that it has to be done. And Nick Batum is so much better than all of the fans imagined. And just getting stuck playing behind him and Joel. I mean, you should be hitting up for take out that bum Pat Williams and go play there. But I'm just going to say it so Spike and Mike don't have to. Me and Daryl here listening live. Anyways, that's it. Daryl, you got the rest. Happy New Year, all.
So there we go, a window into what the conversation might sound like if Daryl has that guy sit down with people.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be interested to see what his value would be in a trade. Contract's very fair. It does seem he's gotten worse defensively. I thought it felt like his touch around the rim has gotten worse, but numbers wise, it's not. He's still the same as last year, 71% of the rim. Did have a nice dunk last night on Walker Kessler. It's like, if I'm not saying
he's got to dunk, that's what he has to be doing more.
That's what everyone should be doing more, Spike.
Yeah, but him specifically.
If I'm not saying that everyone is overhelping too much, I'm definitely saying guys should be dunking more, because like how often Mo Bamba missed a like 1 foot like hook shot layup, and it's like, you are 7 foot 1,000 fucking dunk every time. What are you doing? And it's just it's got to be so frustrating. Pat Bev got mad at Mo Bamba for like not setting the screen fast enough. He's just like, and he's also not a good shot blocker. His hands are not quick enough to block any guard, Mo Bamba.
Well, that's why they should be
always above his head would be nice.
Yeah.
He's just, if you're not going to be a lob threat that dunks everything, then you have to just take like 15 threes per 36. Just be like only that, and that's all you do. And then some shot blocks on the other end. It's just like, God. So I don't know. I feel like I can feel the distrust in the backup center situation, and I don't think the small ball stuff is working. So I could see that I could see that being an area of need or something they address at the deadline.
We will talk to you next time Wednesday night, right? Or a Wednesday night after the Hawks game, sort of.
Yeah, today is my dad's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday!
We only podcast on my parents' birthdays.
Yep.
Happy birthday to my dad. Called him this morning. He was already playing basketball.
Wow, good for him.
71 years old, still plays twice a week. And also, for those monitoring my light, once in a while gambling, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers would win me my bet if they just simply beat the Carolina Panthers today. They win the division.
Carolina Panthers suck.
They do suck. If it happens, I'll feel good.
They were plus 750. Is that
800.
What that was? Plus 800.
Plus 800 to win the division. That's all. That would be nice birthday present to my dad for me to win my Tampa Bay division bet.
Are we finally going to get an Eagles beat the shit out of somebody game today? Maybe.
No.
Oh,
they're so bad. They're horrendous. Absolutely atrocious. What an awful team. Awful team. Awful organization.
Wow, awful organization.
It happened very fast.
Last year. They won the Super Bowl 4 years ago.
5 years ago.
5 years ago. 5 years ago.
6 years ago.
6 years ago. Yeah,
6?
It was 6 years. Yeah, it was 6 years.
2018.
2018. Yeah. Yikes.
Time
goes by
that was
quick.
a while. No, they're not an awful organization, but they feel like one right now because everything went so bad so quick. So bad so quick. Really upsetting watch. But the Sixers have, as soon as they got the Sixers have the whole city of Philadelphia on their back. It's up to you now.
Yeah, it hasn't gone so well.
Gone so well. Yeah. 2 really bad losses, pathetic. Lost by 45. Whatever. Here we go. Maybe it's good. They're always good in January, and then they fucking suck in April and May. And maybe it's good now that they're bad in January, and they can succeed in April and May.
Yeah. I would trade January for April and May.
Every day. It's a fair trade. I would trade January and a first-round pick to succeed in April and May.
Absolutely.
That's a deal I would do.
Unprotected first.
Unprotected first. Don't need it.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you Wednesday night. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah. Lick face.